It was one of those late autumn nights where the wind howls like a lonely wolf, and the rain taps against the window panes with an unsettling rhythm. I was curled up on my old, comfortable couch, a half-read book resting on my chest, the warmth of a crackling fireplace a welcome shield against the world outside. The old grandfather clock in the hall had just struck 11, its chimes echoing through the quiet house. I live alone, way out in the country, where the nearest neighbor is a good mile down a winding, unlit road. I like the solitude, the peace, or at least, I used to. That's when I heard it, a soft, hesitant knock on the front door. At first, I thought I was imagining it, maybe a branch tossed by the wind. But then it came again, a little louder this time. Tap, tap, tap. My dog, Buster, a usually boisterous golden retriever, lifted his head from the rug, a low growl rumbling in his chest. He didn't bark, which was strange. He just stared at the door, his fur bristling. Who could possibly be out there at this hour, in this weather? I got up, my heart starting to beat a little faster than it should. I peeked through the peephole, but all I could see was the rain-streaked darkness. Hesitantly, I called out, "Who is it?" A small, high-pitched voice answered, barely audible over the storm. "Please, sir, can you let us in? We're lost." Us? I peered through the peephole again, squinting. This time, I could make out two small figures huddled under the faint glow of my porch light. They looked like kids, no older than 10 or 12, both wearing dark hoodies that obscured their faces. They were soaked to the bone, shivering. My initial fear gave way to concern. What were two children doing out here, all alone? "Where are your parents?" I asked, my hand still on the doorknob. The voice, the same one as before, replied, "They'll be here soon. We just need to use your phone. Please, it's so cold." Something felt off. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. It was the way they spoke, flat and motionless, almost rehearsed. Buster was still growling, a deep, menacing sound I'd never heard from him before. He was usually the friendliest dog on the planet, but my conscience got the better of me. They were just kids, after all. "All right, stay right there," I said, unlatching the chain. "I'll get a phone for you." I turned to grab myself from the coffee table, but as I did, I heard the door creak open. I hadn't opened it for them. I spun around, my blood running cold. The two children were standing in my entryway, dripping rainwater onto the wooden floor. They had pushed the door open themselves. "We can just come in," the first child, a boy, said. "It's warmer." They both lowered their hoods in unison, and that's when I saw their eyes. It's a sight that has been burned into my memory, a nightmare I relive every time I close my own eyes. They didn't have normal eyes. There was no white, no iris, no pupil, just two solid orbs of pure, fathomless black. It was like looking into two empty voids, a darkness that seemed to suck all the light and warmth out of the room. The air grew heavy, thick with an unnatural chill that had nothing to do with the storm outside. I was frozen, paralyzed by a terror so profound it felt like my soul was trying to leave my body. Buster, however, wasn't. He lunged forward, barking ferociously, positioning himself between me and the children. The girl, who hadn't spoken yet, simply looked at him. She didn't flinch. She just stared with those terrifying black eyes. Buster let out a pained yelp and scrambled backward, whimpering, his tail tucked between his legs. He cowered behind the couch, shaking uncontrollably. I had never seen him so scared. The boy took a step forward. "We need to use your phone," he repeated, his voice still devoid of any emotion. His tone was not a request. It was a demand. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me. This wasn't right. These weren't children. I don't know what they were, but they weren't human. You need to leave," I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. "Leave now." The girl tilted her head, a slow, unnatural movement. A faint, unnerving smile played on her lips. "But you let us in," she said, her voice a chilling echo of the boy's. "You have to help us now." An overwhelming wave of dread washed over me. It felt like a physical pressure, pushing down on me, making it hard to breathe. I felt a strange compulsion to do as they said, to hand over my phone, to invite them further into my home. It was like their presence was a poison, seeping into my mind, eroding my will to resist. I backed away slowly, my hand fumbling behind me for something, anything, to use as a weapon. My fingers brushed against the heavy iron poker from the fireplace set. "Get out," I shouted, my voice cracking with fear but gaining a sliver of strength. I raised the poker, pointing it at them. "Get out of my house." For the first time, their expressionless faces changed. It wasn't anger or fear. It was annoyance, as if I were a minor inconvenience, a fly to be swatted away. "You will let us stay," the boy said, his black eyes seeming to grow larger, darker. "You will be quiet." The pressure in my head intensified. My vision started to blur at the edges. I felt dizzy, weak. It was like they were draining the very life out of me with their stare. I knew in that moment that if I let them take another step, it would be over. I would be lost. With a surge of adrenaline born from pure terror, I lunged forward, not at them, but past them. I slammed the heavy front door shut, the old wood groaning in protest. I fumbled with the locks, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the deadbolt. I slid the chain back into place, my breath coming in ragged gasps. And then, the knocking started again, not the soft, hesitant taps from before. This was a hard, insistent pounding. Bang, bang, bang. It was rhythmic, powerful, shaking the entire doorframe. "Let us in," the two voices chanted in unison from the other side, their monotone delivery making the demand even more horrifying. "You can't keep us out. You invited us in." I stumbled back, collapsing onto the floor, the fireplace poker still clutched in my hand. Buster was whining from behind the couch, a pathetic, terrified sound. The pounding continued, relentless, for what felt like an eternity. With every impact, I felt that psychic pressure build, that unnatural cold seeping through the wood of the door. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying, chanting whatever came to mind, just trying to hold on to my sanity. I stayed there on the floor all night. The pounding on the door didn't stop until the first rays of dawn broke through the clouds, painting the sky in shades of gray and pink. As the light filled the room, the pounding ceased as abruptly as it had begun. Silence fell. It took me another hour to work up the courage to move. When I finally looked through the peephole, there was nothing there. Just my muddy yard and the trees swaying in the morning breeze. No footprints. No sign that anyone had been there at all, except for the puddles of water in my entryway. I never called the police. What would I have told them? That two children with black eyes tried to drain my soul? They would have thought I was crazy. I haven't been the same since that night. I installed new locks, a security system, floodlights that turn the night into day. I never answer the door after dark. Not for anyone. Sometimes when the wind howls just right, I think I can hear a faint tapping. And every time I close my eyes, I see them. Those two small figures with their dark hoodies and their cold, empty, solid black eyes. They said their parents would be there soon. That's the thought that keeps me awake at night. What happens when they come back, and this time, they bring their family? Thanks for listening. Stay safe out there, and be careful who you let in.
Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. We upload fresh, original horror stories daily, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.